Hi everyone, welcome to the channel, welcome to the vlog, welcome to February. So for this week's reading vlog, I have a couple things that I want to read and also a bookish thing I want to complete. I am in the middle of a lot of books. I'm in the middle of 4 things, which is not normal. I typically read 1 book at a time, maybe a physical book and an ebook, but like I have a mix of things. I am in the middle of Hana Dressed in Blood by Kendare. This is the first book, and I want to say a duology, a horror YA duology about a boy who like kills ghosts, and then he goes to investigate this home that has a notorious ghost for like killing people. I think I'm not that far along, but I do vaguely remember this being like really liked when I first got into like the bookish space here on YouTube and Bookstagram and stuff. So I am in the middle of Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. I don't know too much about like the overall plot, but it doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like the type of book that has a very succinct plot other than there's like an emperor. I would imagine that some people aren't happy with his rule and they want to like overthrow him, and the back calls it the wuxia version of Game of Thrones. So I guess it's like a big epic story with like multiple aspects involved in like the plot. One thing about this book that kind of like caught me off guard, that I really hate when authors do this, and you'll see, is this is the map that's presented to us. Lovely beautiful map in color, but sometimes authors do this and it's like maybe it's for like the book reasons, but if you can see the compass, that's west and that's east and that's south and north. So really this is the alignment of the map. So when I'm reading it and it's giving me directions and I want to refer back to the map, I have to do this. I hate that. It bothers me so much, but I don't know, maybe there was enough space to print it this way. And then on Kindle, I don't think you can see my Kindle, but I have an arm here that I read on. But on Kindle, I am in the middle of 2 things. I am reading Gearbreakers, and the author's name escapes me, but I'll have the photo here. This is a YA leaning sci-fi novel about another empire who uses these big mechs called wind-ups to like control their power, I guess. Think of the ones from like Pacific Rim, which I love, and that's the reason why I picked this up. These mechs called wind-ups, and there is like a hub of like freedom fighters called Gearbreakers that destroy these things from the inside. Like they sneak in and kill or take it apart, kill the pilot while they're controlling the mech. It's this whole thing. I'm not liking this book as much. I'm almost done with it. I have like about an hour worth of reading left, and I will come back to you with my thoughts on that. And then the other book I'm also reading on my Kindle is, I think, called Blood Grace by Vila Roth. This is a book I've been wanting to read for a while. It's like a fantastical take on vampires. It's a predominantly romance series. From what I know, lovely cover. I've been wanting to read this for a while now. And we follow the bastard daughter of a king, and her kingdom is kind of making a truce alliance. They're trying to keep this tradition up with this race of fantastical vampires where they're coming together, and like it's like a little truce moment, and she really wants these vampires to come to her kingdom for a specific reason, and we're not quite sure what that is. The author's being very vague about it. I'm picking up hints about what it is, but I'm about like 20 if that percent into that one. It's fairly lengthy for what I thought was a romance, or romance predominantly. But yeah, that's what I'm currently reading. It's a lot. I don't know if I'll finish everything this week, especially this chunky one, but we'll see how far I get through these books. What I also want to get through, and I won't move my camera because it makes like the footage get weird, but I have 3 bookshelves here, as you can see, and sometimes I film facing this way, and I have 2 shelves on that wall, and I kind of want to move them to this wall this week. And if I do, I'll give you like a little mini bookshelf tour once everything's how I want it. As you can see, everything's like super messy. I haven't had time to clean them because I was gonna move stuff around anyways. But yeah, I have 3 tall bookshelves, and you can't see it, but on top of the bookshelves I have like those 4 like square shelves stacked on top, so there's more books up there that you very rarely see in my videos. I want this whole wall to be books. And then I do have like a small like half shelf here that you never see because I never angle the camera there, but I think that's gonna be like a bedside shelf. You'll see whenever I get to it, if I get to it this week, but I really want to because I hate the way my room is organized right now. It pisses me off. So that is on the agenda. First things first, I'm probably gonna finish Gearbreakers, and I will come back to you when I have thoughts. Yeah. Okay, so I did finish Gearbreakers by Zoe Hana Mikuta. Like I said before, this book revolves around this authoritarian government who uses these giant mechs called wind-ups to like control as a threat to people. And we follow two characters, one of them named Sona, whose family was killed by this regime, and she enters their academy to become a pilot for these mech things, and she wants revenge. She doesn't quite know how to go about it, but she hates this government. The opportunity presents itself when they capture a fairly notorious gearbreaker, a person who destroys these mechs. Her name is Eris, and she gets captured, and Sona is like, this is the opportunity I've been waiting for. So they break out and, you know, rebellion, that kind of stuff. Like I said before, this had things that I was really interested in. First of all, it's sapphic. It is YA, but it kind of leans a little older YA. Like it wants to lean to more adult, but I do think the writing is still like very distinctly like distinct YA. It has Pacific Rim elements, which I love Pacific Rim. There were some moments that read a little like Mad Max Fury Road, which I like. Yeah, some things that I really liked. So when I say that the rating is a 2.5, I don't mean that in a bad way. It's like right down the middle. Things I liked and then things that I did not, which was mostly like writing choices, story choices. First of all, I would love personally more background. I know government bad because government kills, I get it totally, but like I don't know anything other than like vague notions of like these people created these deities and they worship them, but I do get the notion that the people in power of this government just use these wind-ups, these mechs, as like, you know, like an opiate of the masses or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I don't really quite understand how they got to power. Like, where did this restructuring and how did this authoritarian government come to be? Like, what caused this government to like seize this control, right? Like, this obviously takes place on like Earth, but there's no clear distinct like where specifically this would take place. Like I couldn't say, oh, this is like North America or like East Asia or something like that. I'm not quite sure. That was probably intentional, but I would have just liked more building of the setting, building of background characters. There is a kind of small community of Gearbreakers, like little, like a pocket rebellion, and I don't know anything about them, like structurally how they work. Our main character Eris, her sister Jenny seems to be the one in charge, and I don't know why. Maybe because she's the most talented, that could be an option, but I don't, like, I wouldn't know how to tell you, despite the fact that there are older people who maybe would have seniority over her. Again, I don't know how this rebellion people are structured, you know, as a society, as a culture, whatever. I don't know anything about anything. Just maybe little hints there, which for other readers might be okay, but for me, I do love world building. I do like fleshing out characters and backgrounds and settings and stuff like that. As for writing, Eris, who was the Gearbreaker, some of her writing is very dramatic, very like soapy, over the top, cringy, like dialogue, like Riverdale kind of cringe sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes I'm like, okay, chill. One of our characters does have a really good growth as a character in the later half, which I do appreciate. That it was like the last hour that I felt the author was really doing something with her character, and I liked it. I did like the sapphic moments. It wasn't like instant attraction really, or instant love or anything. There was definitely instant like, oh, she's really pretty, but nothing too instant love, whatever. It wasn't the forefront of the story for the most part, but yeah, it was mostly some writing stuff that I had issues with. Oh, name things. This is a pet peeve that I have. Again, you might not care about this, but it's something that kind of just like, once I noticed it, it was like right here. I couldn't get it out of my head. But this author likes to use names in conversations, like in dialogue, constantly. And I want you to like pay attention the next time you have a conversation with a friend or a sibling or something. How often do you use their names in a conversation? Like you might open up like, hey John, how are you doing? But then for the rest of the conversation, you might never use their name again. This author likes to put the characters' names in the conversation, even if it's just like one-on-one. And it's like weird, and I kept noticing it. And I don't know, people just don't talk like that. Not a big deal. I'm not gonna like docket a whole star rating for that. But in general, most of my problems with this were the lack of foundation in this story. But once it got like fun, it got fun. So yeah, I would still recommend it. It is sapphic, it is YA. The problems I had, you might not have. So, and next I will be tackling Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendare. I'm not too far ahead in this one, like I said before, but it's YA horror ghost stuff, which I love ghosts. And I really want to read more horror adjacent stuff. So I'll get on this one and I'll come back when I have some stuff to talk about. So yeah, sorry I didn't update on Tuesday. Sorry about that. I didn't really get a lot of reading done. I'm still in the middle, specifically focusing right now on Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendare. But Tuesday I mostly was fixing these shelves around, and it took a lot of time, a lot of fantasy books. Fantasy was like the hardest thing to like organize, and I'm not super happy with certain the four, like the cube shelves. I'm not super happy with those up there, but I'm mostly okay with like the actual like 5 tier bookshelves. I don't want to move the camera too much because it like my footage gets weird whenever the lighting changes. Yeah, that's what I did on Tuesday, and it was a lot. Yeah, so hi, so it is Friday, and I did finish another book. I finished Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendare. This is the first book in a duology, and like I said before, we follow a young boy who has recently taken up his father's mantle of being like a ghost hunter. He has like this dagger that like helps like kill ghosts and stuff like that. His father died doing this job, and now he's doing it, and he's still fairly young, like a senior in high school, something like that. And so he is on this case to get rid of this young girl named Anna, who is notorious, kind of like a little urban legend. But Anna very quickly is obviously a very different type of ghost. Like, she's much more angry. She's much more like in her head. Like, she's not like lost in death. She's like conscious. And it's a little bit of a story. It's okay. It's like 3 stars. If you've ever seen like a Buffy supernatural show, very much monster of the week, up until like the end, where we start to get more backstory about our main character and what happened to his father. So it's like monster of the week episode with like a hint of story, background exploration. It was just okay. I was expecting more with how popular this was before, like when I was getting into reading again. Something that I've been doing since this year started is book journaling, and one thing that I do for every entry, other than write my thoughts, is write like a quote, something that I thought encapsulated like a theme that the author was trying to like really get across, like something very strong, 1 or 2 sentences, like a strong quote. And I was having trouble finding one, and I'm usually not, again, I've mentioned this before, writing is like the last thing that I really focus on with a story, because I don't feel like I'm quite well versed enough to speak on writing. Personally, I'm not super comfortable with it. Not saying you have to be an author yourself to critique someone else's writing, but I'm not good with it. But I was just waiting for a strong moment from our main character where he's like thinking about his father and the fact that he's doing the same thing that his father did before he died. Like, just something very introspective and very strong writing. And I didn't get anything. I got like maybe 1 moment where I was like, oh, okay, I like how well thought out the author is putting these words on page and like trying to explain what is going on in her character's head. I was waiting for like a strong moment talking about grief or something, since death is a huge part of this book. Right, our main character's killing ghosts who were killed, and his father's dead, and he probably knows that he will die doing this as well. It is Friday, so I might close off the vlog soon. But I kind of want to read a little bit of a Kindle book that I picked up recently, and then I'll come back and give you my thoughts on it. I don't think I'm going to finish it, but I will come back and talk to you about it before I close off the vlog. I know I was already in the middle of a couple books, but I just wanted to pick up something else. I don't know what it is, but I can't sit on a book right now. So I picked up Rosewater by Tade. Thompson, I believe, is the author's name. This is the first in a trilogy. It is sci-fi. I don't know much about it, but I was looking, browsing as one does, like on Libby, and then I saw this and I thought the premise sounded like really interesting and weird, and I don't know, I'm very, obviously, like a lot of people are kind of just tired of like trope marketing, and this premise, it was a full paragraph of like, here's something interesting about this book, maybe you want to read it, and it got me. And we are following an individual who lives in a place called Rosewater, and within Rosewater there's this like dome with like aliens or something, and like no one's ever been inside. Anyways, no one's ever been inside this dome, and it's really like weird, and it like heals people every like year or so. Like people just go, they flock to it, and they like their illnesses or like physical ailments are like healed. It's like this really weird thing. I don't love the writing right now. It's very like monotonous, I guess. Like I think the author's trying to make it like drony, like office worker, like just very like boring, but like not because the content is boring. The inner monologue is very boring, if that makes sense. I'm not that far along, only a few like 20 pages. I also feel like sometimes the writing's trying to play with me, like try to confuse me sometimes. It's not one that I can speed read for sure. Anyways, but yes, I've been reading it on my Kindle. Our main character also seems to be like this kind of sensitive, like he can kind of tap into a person's like memory, not necessarily read minds, but kind of like dig through people's minds. It's very interesting and very like weird. But yes, that's what I started reading, and that's what I'm actually quite taken with right now. So I did put to the side the other books that I mentioned earlier. The next clip you will see will be me wrapping up the video. I just wanted to quickly fill you in before I went to bed. So peace. Time to close out the vlog. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you had a good quick little interlude in your day. Feel free to talk to me down below about anything I've talked about. Have you read any of these books? Like them, dislike them? Have I piqued your interest? I'd like to hear anything you have to say down below. I will also link my social medias down below, as well as some far more important links. Feel free to like, dislike, comment, or subscribe, or do neither. It's all cool with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.